Alright, this video is pretty much out of left field compared to what I usually upload here to the channel, but I'm so tired of people falling for these dupes every single time. It's amazing how this works, honestly, because what these TikTok traders are doing is quite illegal, but they get around it. They circumvent what they're doing, and in reality, they're destroying people's savings. And I think that that's pretty messed up in and of itself, but the real problem is that they're doing it for their own profit. They're not doing it to help you out. So, a lot of you know I invest in the stock market and things like that. I'm always talking about it over on Twitter. And let's go ahead and get this part out of the way here, okay? None of the stocks that I talk about on my profile are able to be manipulated by me, or it would just be impossible. I simply don't have a following big enough to, fluctuate the prices of Tesla, or Nvidia, or AMD, or Intel, or Amazon, or the Coca-Cola company. I could never do that on my own, because the stocks that I actually talk about are ones that actually will help you in the long run and you can actually profit off of, because they're very secure stocks. They have a good future in front of them. That's why I invest into them. They're companies with an actual foundation behind them, so that's not what these TikTok traders are doing. So let me go ahead and explain this to you, I guess in the best way that I really can. So people on TikTok claim to be giving free stock advice, right? And they never tell you about like PE ratios or how to understand earnings. They don't tell you how to learn trends and patterns in the market. Nothing like that, right? What they'll do is they'll say, hey, I found this new stock, and it's going to do really well. The company, they have so much potential. In 3 years, the stock might triple. And new traders don't understand this because they're new to the market. They don't understand pump and dump schemes and things like that. So they hear, oh, I can triple my money? The stock only costs 42 cents to invest into? Man, this sounds like a steal. So hearing that, right, they'll go put $300 of shares, I guess, into this 42-cent company. And let's get this part out of the way. Penny stocks and these companies that they're promoting don't often do well in the long run. They usually end up, just either staying down there as basic penny stocks, or the company folds in the next 5 years for whatever reason. And, so what they do is they get these new traders to get on Robinhood, because that's the one that most new traders are jumping onto at this point, even though it's probably the worst platform that you really can be investing onto. But they'll get them on there and make them buy $400 worth of shares. Now keep in mind, these are stocks that, their daily volume of trading is usually 4,000 shares, which means that, on average every day they get traded 4,000 times. There's 4,000 buys or sells on different stocks and whatnot. So they're not active at all. So when this person who gets 400,000 views, I guess, gets even 3,000 people, I guess, to go and buy 500 shares of this, it just blows the stock up. Because obviously on the stock market, if a bunch of investors just start spending money just buying shares into this company, the value of the stock is going to go up. So, the stock will shoot up 80% in a day, and the person will go, oh, hey, look, I told you this stock is doing really well. Look at this. You're missing out. And they drive it up as high as they can get it, and then they sell all their shares and just completely fucking wipe it out. Because little do you know, they actually own 10 to 15% of the shares of that company themselves. And when that happens, basically the stock will collapse, and the people who put, $400 into the company, had 900 or whatever after the stock exploded, are now left with 200 because the stock completely shit the bed and is gone. Meanwhile, the person who promoted the stock, who had $50,000 worth into it, just pulled $40,000 profit off of the entire thing and is stepping away with a cool 90 grand. And the pump and dump scheme, which is what that's called, it's as old as the market itself, basically. And it's actually highly illegal. It is illegal to pump a stock up real high and promote it like that and then just completely dump it off and make a bunch of profit. That's against the law. But there's another one, and it's actually trending on Twitter right now, okay? Now, you might know about Dogecoin. It's a cryptocurrency, which are less regulated than stocks by a long shot because it's decentralized currency, generally not as secure as just buying stocks and whatnot. So Dogecoin, as of right now, from what I can understand through the screenshots, is worth less than a penny. It's basically just a microcurrency. It, according to this screenshot 6 hours ago, was worth $0, 0 cents, but was worth a fraction of a penny. And that fraction almost doubled within the last week, so it was worth basically dirt before that. But now, this is doing great. This currency is doing great. And people are buying into it, buying into the hype because they saw a TikTok about it. That's where this whole hype around Dogecoin popped off, because someone made a TikTok about it. And once again, and maybe even more at this point, Dogecoin is worth so little that it's so easy to get so much of. The person making that TikTok probably has a really good amount of money into it. I don't know, let's just say, for instance, they've got $25,000 worth of Dogecoin because they're probably, they got money to spend, I guess. So when they trick a bunch of fucking people on TikTok into going and buying a bunch of Dogecoin up and shooting it up 100% almost in a week, they've now almost doubled their money. And what's going to end up happening is the person or the group that kind of initiated everybody to go hype over this coin, they're going to sell it out from underneath them, completely dump the entire fucking currency, and people who bought at the higher end of the whole thing are going to watch as 87% of their money is gone in a week. So, it's nuts. Because technically they are circumventing the law. Like I said, pumping and dumping stocks is very against the law. I don't know if you've ever seen The Wolf of Wall Street. It's my favorite movie of all time. Go figure. I know I'm probably the stereotypical, stock trader who thinks he's Wolf of Wall Street, but whatever. That's beside the point. You might remember when they were pushing the Steve Madden IPO, the initial public offering, and they basically quadrupled the stock within the whole day, while they secretly owned 85% of the shares through other people who were holding the shares in the company in their name. And then when it happened, they basically made $23 million. That's basically them pumping the stock up by selling a shit ton of it during the IPO so that they can dump it later and make money. That's basically what was happening on a very layman's terms in that part of the movie if you've ever seen it. And that's exactly what's happening here. You cannot fucking convince me that these people on TikTok who tell people to buy a 40-cent stock with, there's basically no good earnings reports from this company. They have no future, It's a construction company that builds clay huts and shit in downtown Manhattan. Just absolutely no demand for their product. And then when the stock hits $2, they're gone. And then in 3 weeks, the stock is worth 32 cents. So you might be like, Optimus, how are they circumventing the law? How are they getting away with this? How are they getting around it? Well, let me go ahead and explain this to you as easily as I can. Once again, pumping and dumping a stock is against the law. So, they can't just go out and do that. What they do instead, what they say they're doing, is they're giving quote-unquote free stock advice. Okay? And, that at that point, they're not committing a pump and dump scheme because, even though they own a bunch of the stock, they're just saying that they think that the stock is going to do really well. They're not saying that they have, all this inside information or whatnot, which insider trading is also against the law. They're not saying all this, and they're not trying to convince you too hard. What they just do is they say things like, oh man, this thing has the potential to jump 3 times. This thing has the ability to jump 3 times its value. Because then it's just free stock advice, and they're just informing their viewers about what they think is going to happen to the stock, when in reality, they've probably been planning it the entire time. They've probably been planning to get people to increase the volume of this penny stock 10 times over within 45 minutes in order to make as much profit as possible. So when it comes down to them getting arrested, they can just tell the government, hey, I was just saying that I think that this is what's going to happen. It's not against the law to be speculative of what's going to happen to a stock, even though they know deep down what the fuck they're doing. And once again, you might be like, oh, Optimus, you're always talking about these stocks on Twitter. Aren't you doing the same thing? Well, no, because let's just take, I have Thinkorswim pulled up right now, and I'm monitoring 10 stocks as I'm recording this video. Activision, Tesla, Novavax, Intel, AMD, Nvidia, Facebook, Microsoft, Apple, and Amazon. Now let's just take Apple, for instance, here, because I guess that's the best one that I guess we can go through here with. You probably know what Apple is, so. The amount of shares that have been traded of Apple today, and I'm recording this at 9:49 a.m., the market opens at 9:30 a.m. on the East Coast. So I'm assuming this is with pre-market trading and whatnot too. There's already been 4.1 million shares traded of Apple just today. The market will still be open until 4 o'clock my time. Microsoft has 3.8 million in trades today. Tesla is about to break 2 million as we speak. There's no way that I can get people to buy enough shares of these companies that I talk about to fluctuate the value whatsoever. I have, 65,000 followers estimate on Twitter without looking here. If I even got 1% of those people, so 600, just to be conservative, I guess, 600 people to buy a share of Apple, it wouldn't even be close to enough to affect it. Because there's not enough buying or selling going on to fluctuate the price of that stock. Even if every single person following my Twitter bought 1 share of Apple right now, I don't even think it would be like a 50th of the amount of volume that's been done already today. And that would just be completely impossible for me to do. But once again, the way that these TikTok people get away with it is they find a stock that has had 5,000 people buy or sell their shares in a whole day. They get 3 million views on a TikTok, and they tell them to buy this share that's worth like virtually nothing on the market. So people buy 700 shares a piece because it's $20. And next thing you know, there's been 9 million shares of this thing traded in 24 hours, which just completely catapults the price. So no, I mean, if someone's telling you about blue chip stocks, unless it's like Warren Buffett, it would be essentially impossible to fluctuate the price of that stock unless you consider very, very minute changes that wouldn't really make anyone profit, because these stocks are worth, well, Apple's worth 380, Microsoft is worth 211, Tesla's worth almost 1,400, and these are per share. So I want to remind people, because a lot of people are getting into the stock market for the first time as we speak because the market's rallying really heavily. And of course, TikTok traders are all over this and fucking making a lot of money lying to people. Don't listen to TikTok traders. And if you feel skeptical of listening to me, that's fair, and I understand that, but I do encourage you to research what I'm saying. This is a very real thing that happens, and it wipes out people's savings because they hear somebody that they trust say, oh, this stock is going to go tenfold in the next year. So when they hear tenfold, they put their fucking life savings into the stock, and then when it gets dumped, they have pretty much nothing. It's extremely shady, it's horrible, and it's manipulative, and it literally kills people's abilities to make better lives for themselves. So do research when it comes to stocks, do research when it comes to what you're buying, and if you can't find any research on what these people are saying, then the old saying that my dad taught me probably remains true, and that is, and I don't know if this is the first time you've heard this, if it is or seems to be too good to be true, then it probably is. Because folks, I just hate to break it to you, Dogecoin is not going to be Bitcoin in 3 weeks, okay? And that 40-cent electricity company stock that you're about to buy because some millionaire on TikTok said to is not going to be the next Tesla. It's not going to be the next big thing on the block. So with that being said though, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel, follow me over on Twitter and Twitch at @SubToOptimus. Make sure to check out Shop Opti down below. Thank you to my channel members, your support helps my channel tremendously. And until my next video guys, this is Optimus, not buying Dogecoin and not buying penny stocks, and signing out.